Hey guys, Akio Murasaki here. Today we're gonna be horsing around. I got some news about Uma Musume, some things are blowing up a little bit, we have some drama, but also some good news from what I can see. So first off, we have a post here from PETA, whatever, the animal organization. You know, just a bit of a forward here. I love Uma Musume the game. I absolutely love it. I'm really enjoying it recently. And I do have some kind of, minimal respect, I guess, for PETA. But I really hate activists. I really don't like how activists just take random things and then turn them into kind of like social justice points. And things like this, essentially. And also they think there are no repercussions, no consequences whatsoever. And we end up with things like this. So we have this post here from PETA. If Uma Musume Pretty Derby were honest, your favorite horse girl doesn't get a comeback arc, one failed event, and the race is over forever, just like what happened to the real Silence Suzuka. And then we of course hear that in real life the horse Silence Suzuka suffered a catastrophic injury in a race and was euthanized. Now I'm gonna just straight up say why exactly this is insensitive from PETA specifically. Yes, that is true, Silence Suzuka was euthanized after her injury during a race. And it was a harrowing event, both for the jockey, for the audience, for a lot of people who are watching the horse, following the horse and the jockey's journeys, races, and loving the character of Silence Suzuka, also the 3-star Silence Suzuka in Uma Musume. And especially there was like an interview with the voice actress at some point where she said that it's an honor for her to be voicing Suzuka in the game and that she wants to do her best. And the voice actress herself cried when talking about this. Yes, that was essentially the impact of what happened to Silence Suzuka. I think people also have a similar impression of, for instance, Rice Shower, also a fairly tragic event, fairly short career. And everyone who gets Rice Shower in the game, I'm sure they're able to appreciate her as a character and want to help her continue the journey through the careers and make her the best and the fastest horse. So the weep stuff aside, we have this post from PETA, and as you can probably imagine, it doesn't go without consequences this time. We have a community note here that says, PETA is violating the guidelines of the IP owner. This post trivializes the tragedy of Silence Suzuka and uses it to gain notoriety and attention. If PETA really cared about animals, they wouldn't be responsible for most euthanized animal deaths. We're gonna get there in a moment as well. I've seen at least 2 or 3 community notes on this one. I've seen like a Japanese version, I think, of this community note of a different one. There's also been a community note before that apparently got outvoted that said exactly which guidelines were violated. Cygames, for instance, has very strict guidelines when it comes to horse depictions. And also there's been like the whole situation with horse owners and the horses and their inclusion in the game and in fan art and what you can do with the characters. Very complicated. I'm actually surprised that all of this went through, and there's been so far, after a couple of years, fairly minimal drama. I haven't heard any actually related to the game or any of the artists. And therefore, whenever you want to do fan art, you really need to get familiar with these guidelines. And obviously depictions like this here, just misusing the portrayal of Silence Suzuka for some social justice points, absolute no-go. Both absolute no-go ethically, but also absolute no-go when it comes to the regulations, to the guidelines that Cygames set up for the game. So we have that. We have the community note. And then you might not be entirely surprised that the Japanese players, the Japanese people broadly more, are not having it, really not having it. So we have, for instance, Kurushita Zenko here, who's incredibly active on social media. He has posts both in English and in Japanese of roughly the same stuff. He follows all sorts of like kind of pop media stories, gaming stories, I think, what is happening in the West as well. He does post about this very often. He kind of, I guess, willingly, he kind of acts as like a mediator for both sides. He, for instance, at some point reached out to Chibi Reviews and had like an exchange with Chibi Reviews on Twitter as well. And then he was relaying all of the information to the Japanese people, in Japanese, of course. And here we have a post of him kind of, he's basically commenting on the situation that, yes, we have this international, the organization of kind of like world impact, PETA, that suddenly used the illustration of Silence Suzuka, of Uma Musume, and caused ripples basically because of this post. That is just a rough translation of the first sentence. But basically he's essentially commenting on what happened, spreading awareness on the Japanese side as well. And before I actually saw this post, there was another post from a Japanese person, from kind of like a, from a horse aficionado here, who basically reposted this, and he wrote Horobiro ya kuso dantai, which basically means perish, you shitty organization. Yes, that is essentially what it says. And if you're familiar with how Japanese people kind of like more officially write online, this is incredibly strongly worded. Like, I'm not talking here about kind of the netizens on the Japanese side who obviously fling crap all over the place very often, but the regular Japanese people, they typically are quite polite. And this is incredibly strongly worded here. Like, I'm actually shocked that someone write this, but that just shows you how much Japanese people are unhappy with the entire situation. There's obviously more posts like this. We have here a post from Surume Rock, who is a mangaka, by the way. Check out their works on Amazon. And Surume here writes, somehow the overseas animal protection organization started using Uma Musume. Here it says Uma Musume. Suddenly started using it kind of the images. And that's basically, normally this is basically the violation of the side games guidelines, and he really would like them to stop. This is also okay, so this one's, for instance, way more polite, way more official, but if you basically look at the ending here, yeah, it's still fairly strongly worded. And I think there's been more posts here like that. Yeah, sorry. So here's also like a thread here from, continuing of the thread from Kurushita Zenko, where he's getting more familiar with what PETA itself is as an organization, and obviously he's shocked. Because the more digging he does, he notices that, yeah, they've been also targeting Nintendo before, apparently. I'm guessing there's been some, I can't remember if this was the nose ring, the cow nose ring controversy, that they were accusing Nintendo of like spreading negative stereotypes and negative images of like cattle. I think there's been something like this a couple of months or like a year ago or so. They were also putting Nintendo under crosshairs. I mean, PETA was putting Nintendo under crosshairs. I think I've seen that before. And then, of course, we have articles like this one from 8 years ago that PETA says sorry for taking girl's pet chihuahua and putting it down. Yes, so this is something they also do. You guys, some of you might not be familiar with how bad it is actually with PETA. Yes, they sometimes do patrols, at least from what I understand. And they look for animals that are kind of in, I guess, bad conditions or simply not being properly maintained. And they take these animals and they euthanize some of them. Yes, like actually. And this is basically what happened here. They had to pay $39,000 to settle a lawsuit after they seized a dog called Maya, which belonged to a 9-year-old. Obviously, spoiler alert, the dog is not coming back and the girl's life is ruined. So I don't think the $49,000 are gonna save anyone or help anyone at this point. Because not only can she not get another dog for this money, well, I mean, if it was like well, maybe not, I'm sorry. I mean, this is quite a lot, actually. Sorry, I was recalculating from yen for some reason. Maybe she can get another dog, but that's not even the point. Obviously, the girl's memories are ruined, her childhood is ruined in a way if that was her most precious friend. And the 49,000 are not gonna fix that, quite very obviously. But we have more news here. This time, a little more positive. There's been the Games Award show recently, and guess who won the mobile game of the year? Yes, it's been Uma Musume Pretty Derby. They won. It was amazing. Everyone's super happy. Everyone's congratulating here. Since the release of the global version of Uma Musume earlier this year, it's been really making headways. A lot of Western players as well got familiar with the game. They're really loving it. They're really enjoying it. There's a lot of friendly memeing going on. I'm super happy to see this as well. I personally am playing on the Japanese server of Uma Musume. I started, I actually discovered the game very late. I think last year or 2 years ago, I tried it. I was really bad at it. But since a couple of months ago, I came back and I finally figured it out, and I'm loving it as well. The stories, the character, it's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend you try it. And what's even more regarding this, the guy from Cygames that was receiving the award, look what he has here. Look what kind of badge he's wearing here. Yes, it's the amazing badge. He's actually wearing the amazing badge. Look at this Chad. Look at this man right here. So everyone's excited. Big congratulations to Cygames for this. I think all of their titles are great, actually. I've played the original, God, I forgot the name, Grand Blue Fantasy. Yes, I played the original Grand Blue Fantasy a while back. Might actually get back to it, but I would rather probably play some of the later titles. But anyway, still playing Uma Musume, amazing game, highly recommended. Game of the year, absolutely true. Very addictive. So yeah, that's basically it from my side. Bad start with a lot of bad news. But then again, I think a pretty decent finish. And I see you guys in the next one. Mata ne!